Welcome to Managing the Future, the MIS podcast. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really fundamental tool for pretty much any aspiring business professional, Microsoft Excel. And this isn't just about, making lists. We're talking about how Excel functions as a core part of management information systems in many organizations. Think operational reporting, strategic forecasting.
It is
Yeah.
key. That's absolutely right. And whether you're, say, a student right now at the Dr. Sampak College of Business, or maybe you're already working and want to sharpen your skills, this session is really designed to help you nail down the core concepts. We want to take potentially complex stuff and make it clear, make it actionable knowledge. And we're drawing heavily on the insights from Richard Tedmon and H.Schuessler Wilhelm's Connect Master Management Information Systems, the 2024 McGraw Hill text.
Okay, so if you're ready to get a better handle on one of the most versatile tools out there in business, stick with us. And hey, while you're here, please do like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, all that good stuff. Helps us keep the conversation going about managing the future. All right, let's get into it. So let's start with the big picture. Why is Excel so vital in the business world? I think sometimes we maybe underestimate it.
We do. It really plays a huge role, often behind the scenes in almost all aspects of a business. It's kind of that essential bridge, It takes you from basic data entry towards more complex data analysis. It really powers a lot of crucial business decisions.
Okay, so let's imagine a startup, maybe something like Eco Solutions Innovations, right?
Yeah.
A sustainable tech company.
Good example. Yeah.
As they grow, they're going to be dealing with tons of data sales figures, customer feedback, project timelines, you name it.
Absolutely. They'd be drowning in it. And Excel, even just the basics, becomes that first absolutely critical tool for them to start making sense of that flood. These fundamentals we're talking about today, they're the building blocks, turning that raw data into insights that actually drive growth.
So for a company like Eco Solutions, step one is just handling the files.
Right.
Opening, saving. What are the real essentials there? And what about different file types?
Yeah, the good news is it's pretty straightforward. Excel files, .xlsx files, they work just like your other Microsoft Office documents, Word, PowerPoint, etc. You just open them. And if you get something from, say, Google Sheets or maybe Apple numbers, no problem. Excel handles that conversion pretty easily. You can download from Google Sheets as an Excel file. From numbers, there's a download a copy option to get it in Excel format, so collaboration isn't really an issue. And just a quick tip. Always use Save As that first time. Give it a clear name, pick where it goes. Basic, but important.
Okay, files open. We're staring at that grid. Let's break down the absolute fundamental components. What does every business pro need to know?
Right, the grid. At its heart, Excel is just this grid of cells. Think of each little box as a container for one piece of data, and every single cell has a unique address. It's the column letter plus the row number, like A1, B7, C15, whatever. Understanding that address system is it's crucial for finding your way around, especially in big spreadsheets, and definitely for building formulas later. Rows go across, they've got numbers, columns go down, they've got letters, and you can click a number or a letterhead to select the whole thing. Super handy for managing big chunks of data, like maybe Eco Solutions' entire inventory list.
Got it. Cells, rows, columns, addresses. Now, what actually goes into those cells? How does Excel treat different kinds of information?
Good question. Primarily, we're talking labels and values. Labels are just text. They identify stuff. Think column headers like quarterly sales or product SKU. They describe the data, but they don't get involved in math. Although, quick trick. If you type a number but want it treated as text, like a zip code, just put an apostrophe before it.
Oh, neat trick.
Yeah. Then you have values. These are usually numbers, things Excel knows it can calculate with. Sales figures, quantities, prices. That's Eco Solutions' core data, right? And Excel's clever. It changes the mouse pointer to show you what you can do, like a big cross for selecting, a tiny square, the fill handle for copying patterns, an I-beam for typing. It gives you visual cues.
Okay, so data's in the cells. How do we move it around efficiently? Like if Eco Solutions' client list keeps growing or they add new product lines.
Moving stuff is pretty intuitive. You can cut and paste, standard stuff, or even just click the border of a selected cell or range and drag it. But a real time saver, especially for growing businesses, is that fill handle I mentioned, that little square in the bottom right corner of a selected cell. If you have a series like January, February, or maybe sequential invoice numbers, type the first one or two, select them, grab that fill handle, and drag. Excel figures out the pattern and fills it in. Imagine doing monthly report headers or numbering hundreds of new customer entries. Boom, done automatically. Huge time saver.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds incredibly useful. What about selecting cells? Sometimes they're together, sometimes they're scattered.
Right. If they're all touching a joint and you just click and drag to highlight the whole block, easy. If they're not touching, say you want cell A1, C5, and F10, just hold down the curl key while you click each one individually, selects them all without selecting what's in between.
Makes sense. Now, picture this. EcoSolutions sales spreadsheet is now thousands of rows long. You scroll down to look at recent data, and poof, you can't see the column headers anymore. Nightmare scenario. How do we fix that?
Ah, yes, the classic scrolling problem. That's where freezing panes is your absolute best friend. It's indispensable. You basically tell Excel, okay, keep these top rows visible or keep these left columns visible or both. So you select the row below the rows you want frozen or the column to the right of the columns you want frozen, go to the View tab and hit Freeze Panes. Now, no matter how far you scroll down or across, those headers, maybe product name, customer ID, whatever, stay locked in place. Makes navigating huge data sets so much easier.
Okay, crucial feature. Now, sometimes you might want to simplify a report, maybe for a presentation, or hide sensitive data without actually deleting it. Is there a way to just make stuff invisible temporarily?
Absolutely. Hiding is simple and non-destructive. You just select the rows or columns or even individual cells you want to hide, right-click, and choose Hide. Perfect for, say, hiding the salary column before sharing a personnel list, or just focusing the view on key metrics for a meeting. And bringing them back is just as easy. You select the area around the hidden parts, right-click, and choose Unhide. The data was always there, just tucked away.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk errors and cleanup. We've all seen them, spreadsheets with weird characters, maybe after importing data, or those hashtag error messages. How do we deal with that common stuff?
Data hygiene. It's critical for accurate results. So yes, importing data can sometimes bring in extra spaces or weird characters. Excel's Find and Replace tool, usually on the Home tab, is great for this. You can tell it to find all instances of, say, a weird symbol and replace it with nothing, effectively deleting it. Or find double spaces and replace them with single spaces. Cleans things up quickly.
And what about those error codes? Like hashtag VOUE?
Right, those can look scary but usually tell you exactly what's wrong. Hashtag VAUE. Generally means you tried an operation that doesn't make sense, like adding text to a number. Hashtag DIVFU is straightforward. You tried to divide by 0, which is mathematically impossible. Check your formulas. Hashtag REF usually means a cell reference in your formula is no longer valid, maybe because you deleted the row or column it pointed to. And the most common one, just a series of pound signs. Hashtag, tag, hashtag, tag, tag. That just means the column isn't wide enough to show the whole number. Just double-click the column border to auto-fit it or drag it wider. Easy fix. Recognizing these helps you troubleshoot fast.
Okay, this is great foundational stuff. Now, let's get to the really powerful part, calculations. This is where EcoSolutions innovations can really start turning that raw data into actual business intelligence, right?
Exactly. This is where Excel stops being just a list keeper and becomes a dynamic analysis tool. The calculations are where the magic happens for decision making.
But before we jump into formulas, you mentioned data cleaning. We talked find and replace. What about other common issues like, say, duplicate customer entries or those annoying extra spaces that mess up sorting?
Yeah, critical first step. Think about it. Duplicate records can completely skew your analysis. If EcoSolutions has the same customer listed twice, their customer count is wrong, their sales per customer is wrong. So Excel has a built-in Remove Duplicates tool, usually on the Data tab. You select your data range, click the button, tell it which columns to check for duplicates, and boom, it finds and removes the redundant rows. Very powerful for clean data.
And the extra spaces, like maybe at the end of a name someone typed in.
Ah, yes, trailing or leading spaces. They're invisible killers for things like sorting or lookups. The trim function is your hero here. You create a helper column, and in the first cell you type trim A1, assuming A1 is the cell with the messy text. Then you copy that formula down. It removes all extra spaces leading, trailing, and reduces multiple spaces between words down to 1. Then you can copy those clean values and paste them back over the original messy data using paste special values. Essential step after importing.
Okay, clean data is key. Now, this next concept sounds really important for making spreadsheets flexible, especially as data grows. Relative versus absolute cell referencing. Can you break that down? Why does it matter so much?
Oh, this is absolutely fundamental. Getting this right saves so much time and prevents countless errors, especially in financial models or dashboards. So by default, Excel uses relative referencing. What that means is if you write a formula like A1 plus B1 in cell C1, and then you copy that formula down to cell C2, Excel automatically adjusts it to A2 plus B2. It shifts the references relative to the new location. Most of the time, that's exactly what you want. You want the same calculation applied to each row.
Right, makes sense for summing rows or something. So what's absolute?
Absolute referencing is when you want a part of your formula to always point back to one specific cell, no matter where you copy the formula. Let's say EcoSolutions has their sales tax rate in one single cell, maybe cell Z1, and you're calculating the final price for hundreds of different products down a column. You don't want that Z1 reference changing as you copy the formula down. You want it locked on Z1. To do that, you use dollar signs before the column letter and the row number. So instead of Z1, you write Z1 $. That dollar sign locks or makes that part of the reference absolute. Now, when you copy the formula containing Z1 $, that part will not change. It always points to Z1. Understanding when to use relative, the default, and when to use absolute with the dollar is just crucial for building anything beyond the simplest spreadsheet.
Okay, dollar signs lock it in. Got it. Now the equal sign. Seems basic, but you said it's the gateway.
It is. That humble sign is probably the most important key you'll press in Excel. It's the signal. It tells Excel, pay attention. What comes next isn't just text or a number to sit there. It's an instruction to calculate something. Without the equal sign first, if you type 5 plus 7, Excel just sees the text 5 plus 7. If you type 5 plus 7, Excel calculates and displays 12. And more importantly, you use it with cell references, like A1 plus B1. Now, the result in that cell will dynamically update whenever the values in A1 or B1 change. That's the power.
So every calculation starts with... And these formulas, they have a specific way they need to be written, a syntax. And what about like high school math class order of operations? Does that still apply?
Exactly. Syntax is just the rules for how you write a formula or function. The basic structure for a function is function name, argument 1, argument 2. So the sum function to add up cells A1 through A5 would be sum A1.A5. The function name is sum, and the argument, the input it needs, is the range A1.A5. Simple, but you gotta follow the rules. And yes, absolutely, order of operations is critical. Excel follows the standard mathematical convention, often remembered by the acronym PEMDAS or BODMAS, parentheses or brackets first, then exponents orders, then multiplication and division, they have equal priority done left to right, and finally addition and subtraction also equal priority left to right. So if you write 5 plus 23, Excel does the multiplication first, 23, 6, and then the addition 5 plus 6, 11. If you wanted the addition first, you need parentheses 5 plus 2, 3, which gives 21. Getting this wrong can lead to seriously incorrect results, especially in complex financial calculations for EcoSolutions.
Okay, PEMDAS matters. Good reminder. Now let's talk about some of those common functions. You mentioned SU. What about things like AutoSum, average, count, max, MIM1, the quick access ones?
Yeah, these are your everyday workhorses. AutoSum, often shown by the Greek sigma symbol on the Home tab, is super smart. You click in a cell below column of numbers, hit Auto SUM, and it usually correctly guesses the range you want to add up. Hit Enter, done. Huge time saver. Under that same AutoSum button's little drop-down arrow, you'll find Average. Works similarly, select your range, get the average. Count, specifically count, there's also counta and count blank, tells you how many cells in your selected range contain numbers, useful for knowing how many sales entries you have, for instance. And max and MIN are simple but powerful. Select a range, use max, it tells you the highest value, use MIN, it tells you the lowest. Think about EcoSolutions wanting to instantly see their highest sale this month or their lowest inventory item. Count these functions, do it in a flash.
Very practical. Okay, let's level up a bit. Two functions that sound really useful for business students and professionals, PMT and IIF. Tell us about those.
Ah, yes. PMT is a financial function, and it's incredibly useful for calculating loan payments. So if EcoSolutions is thinking about taking out a loan for, say, new manufacturing equipment, or maybe even calculating mortgage payments for a new office space, PMT is the tool. It needs 3 main pieces of information, 3 arguments. First, the interest rate per period. So if you have an annual interest rate APR but payments are monthly, you need to divide the APR by 12. That's a common mistake. Got to match the rate to the payment period. Second, the total number of payment periods, often called NPER. So a 5-year loan paid monthly would be 5, 12 equals 60 periods. Third, the present value, which is basically the total amount of the loan. You plug those into PMT rate, NPER PV, and Excel calculates the regular payment amount. You can easily change the inputs to model different scenarios, different loan amounts, interest rates, payback times. Super powerful for financial planning.
Okay, PMT for loans. Very useful.
Yeah.
Now, the IF function, that sounds like it involves logic, maybe making decisions within the spreadsheet.
Exactly. The I function is a cornerstone of adding logic to your spreadsheet. It lets Excel make a simple decision based on a condition you set. The basic structure is IF logical logic test, value true, value of false. So you give it a test, something that can be either true or false. For example, is the value in cell B2 greater than 500, B2500? Then you tell Excel what to display if that test is true, maybe the text high value, and then you tell it what to display if the test is false, maybe the text standard. So the whole formula might be IF B2500 high value standard. Now you copy that formula down your list of order values and instantly every order is categorized. Think about Eco Solutions using this for inventory. Stock level 10, reorder, okay? Or for grading, IF score 64, pass fail. It automates decisions based on your data. Incredibly versatile.
Wow, yeah. It sounds like it opens up a lot of possibilities. Okay, so we've covered getting data in, cleaning it, calculating with it. Now let's talk about making it look good, making it clear. Presentation matters, right?
Yeah.
Formatting.
It absolutely matters. You can have the best analysis in the world, but if it's presented poorly, if it's hard to read or understand, its impact is lost. Proper formatting isn't just about aesthetics. It's about clarity, communication, and ensuring your insights actually land with your audience, especially crucial in MIS where you're often creating reports for others.
Excel gives us things like styles and themes. How do those help beyond just picking colors? Is it about consistency, maybe branding for Eco Solutions?
Precisely. Styles and themes provide a consistent look and feel across your workbook, or even across multiple reports from different departments within Eco Solutions. It makes everything look more professional, more cohesive. It reinforces branding. And importantly, it aids interpretation. Think about standard color conventions. In finance, red usually means negative or a loss. Black means positive or profit. Using these conventions consistently helps people grasp the information faster. Same with risk, like a traffic light system. Green for good safe, yellow for caution, red for danger high risk. Consistent styles help embed these visual cues.
Okay, so styles for overall look. What about formatting individual cells? We know data can be numbers, text, logical, true, false from I, or errors. What tools do we have to format those specific entries?
You've got a whole toolkit, very similar to what you find in Word or PowerPoint, actually. It's usually on the Home tab or available when you right-click a cell. You can change the font type, size, color, add borders to group cells, or create table-like structures, change the background fill color to highlight specific cells or rows. Alignment is key to left, right, center, top, middle, bottom. Getting text and numbers aligned properly makes things much easier to scan. And wrap text is essential if you have long labels in a narrow column. It makes the text flow onto multiple lines within the cell instead of getting cut off. Plus, you can manually adjust row height and column width. All these little things add up to a much clearer, more professional report.
Right, the details matter. Now, we often work with multiple sheets in one file, one workbook. How do we manage those effectively? Moving them, copying them.
Yeah, workbooks are designed for that multi-sheet organization. Maybe Eco Solutions has one sheet for Q1 sales, another for Q2, another for expenses, all in one file. Managing these sheets is pretty easy. Most options are just a right-click away. Right-click on a Sheet tab at the bottom, and you can insert new sheets, delete sheets, rename them, change their tab color, move them around, or even copy an entire sheet. This lets you structure your information logically within a single file. And remember, find and replace. It can work across multiple sheets too if you need to make a change consistently throughout the workbook.
Okay, managing sheets makes sense. Now here's something that sounds really powerful for making data visually jump out. Conditional formatting. What is that, and how can Eco Solutions use it?
Conditional formatting. This is a real game changer for making data talk to you, for spotting trends or outliers instantly without having to hunt for them. Basically, you set up rules that automatically change the format of a cell, its background color, font color, maybe add an icon based on the value inside it. So you highlight the range of data you want a monitor, say Eco Solutions monthly sales figures for all their products. Then you go to conditional formatting on the Home tab. You could set a rule like, if the cell value is less than $1,000, make the background red. Instantly, all the underperforming products for that month are highlighted in red. No need to manually scan hundreds of numbers. Your eyes are drawn right to the potential problems.
Wow, okay. I could see how that would be useful. Like maybe for inventory again. Highlight items with stock below a certain level in yellow, or products that haven't sold in 90 days in red.
Exactly. That's precisely the kind of thing it's perfect for. Or color coding, sales growth, green for positive growth, red for negative. Or using data bars within cells to create mini charts showing relative performance. It transforms your spreadsheet from just static numbers into a dynamic dashboard that flags important information based on the conditions you define. It helps you manage by exception.
Fantastic tool. Okay, one last area, printing. Sometimes you still need a hard copy, maybe for a meeting or a formal report. How do we make sure our beautiful, well-formatted spreadsheet prints out nicely, especially if it's large?
Yeah, printing can be surprisingly tricky with spreadsheets. The shortcut Ctrl+P is your friend. It jumps you straight to the print menu and, crucially, the print preview. Always check the preview. It shows you exactly how we'll look on paper, including page breaks. You can zoom in, check margins. Under the settings area, you control what prints, just the active sheet, the entire workbook, or maybe only a selection you highlighted.
For big spreadsheets that span multiple pages, the killer feature is print titles. This lets you specify rows, usually your header row, and/or columns that should be repeated on every single printed page. So people reading page 5 still know what each column represents. Absolute lifesaver.
You can also switch to landscape orientation if your sheet is wide, or use scaling options like fit sheet on one page, use with caution, can make text tiny, or adjust the percentage scaling to try and make it fit better. It gives you a lot of control to get a professional-looking printout.
Excellent advice. Print titles sounds essential. Okay, well, that feels like a pretty solid wrap-up of the fundamentals of Excel for management information systems. We really covered a lot, from just navigating the grid and basic file handling all the way to powerful calculations with functions like PMT and IF, and then making it all clear with formatting and conditional formatting.
Yeah, and truly understanding these basics, drawing from that Tedmon and Wilhelm text, it's foundational for anyone going into business, especially MIS. It really is that stepping stone. Mastering this allows you to move onto much more advanced data analysis, better reporting, and ultimately making smarter data-driven decisions. It sets you up for success.
So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, our listeners? Let's go back to that Eco Solutions Innovations example. Using what we've discussed today, particularly maybe conditional formatting or some basic functions, how could you quickly identify which of their sustainable tech products are the real stars, the best sellers, versus maybe the ones that are lagging behind and need a marketing push, or perhaps reevaluation? Drop your ideas and thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you'd apply these concepts.
Yes, please do. And thank you so much for joining us on Managing the Future, the MIS podcast. We genuinely hope this deep dive helps you build your skills and confidence as you become a well-informed business professional.
Absolutely. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and comment to stay connected with us. We'll be back soon with another deep dive. See you next time.